What's up, y'all? Devon here again for Obligatory, and on this channel we bring you a weekly music news segment every Friday. I'm your spiritual guide to the comings and goings of many different genres of music news. We talk about a lot of stuff here. Today we're going to focus on Danny Brown's Quaranta. We're going to tell you when to expect it, what to expect, and kind of what we know about this album already, as well as a bunch of album announcements that have dropped this week, either officially or teasers that the artist is floating out there may be coming soon. We got a lot of news on that as well. And then why are fans acting so shittily at concerts? We're going to break some of that down as well based on some recent events that took place. But we're going to start, of course, with Danny Brown's Quaranta. This is his 40 album. If you recall, Triple X was the theme of turning 30 years old and making this album and the struggles he was going through at that time. This one is going to continue that theme of turning 40 and expressing what that means to him at this time in his life. The first time Danny teased this album was on Twitter in 2020. And it was then when he billed it as XXXX. I don't know how the fuck to say that, but then we learned that the album is getting mixed in late 2021. So the finishing touches are being put on the project, and he's done a couple interviews since 2021, many of them not so focused on music, but he's been really tight-lipped when asked about the project. He hasn't really been coming out with too much information about when it's coming or who's on it, or really the most he said anything about the project was when he called out his label, Warp Records, and his manager for slow playing the release of the project. Again, this is supposed to be his 40 album. He's already 42. Shortly after the release of Scaring the Hoes, he went to rehab, completed 90 days there, and has reportedly been sober since. He blamed, drinking on the incident where he called out his label, but I'm sure there's some legitimate exception to be taken from the artist in this situation where there's just not as much of an urgency around releasing this album that is, in a way, kind of time sensitive, right? We are here. We are literally, finally, actually here. We have a single out today titled Tantor, which has a music video. The music video, I love. Short, sweet, and to the point, which I think for the rest of the album, that's what this is going to be. It's so far looking like 11 tracks. Most songs 2 to 3 minutes. And this single lends itself to the notion that he has put out there about this album being all over the place, maybe sonically, maybe lyrically. Also this week, Kenny Beats announced the 4th and final season of The Cave, his YouTube freestyle series. A lot of these have produced some very good freestyles. Some of them have been very funny and hilarious freestyles, a lot of viral moments from these. Some of the most popular ones he's done were with Doja Cat or Vince Staples, and how could we forget Zach Fox's unforgettable performance and freestyle and choice of outfit. And so if you're watching this, the first episode of this 4th season is probably already out. This time, Ski Master Slump God is making an appearance on the show. And I want to know, who you would like to see for the rest of this series, since it's going to be the last. They got to go out with a bang, right? A lot of new albums were either outright released or rumored about, reported on, or teased this week. And we're going to break them all down for you. For the full-blown stone cold album announcements that have dates on the horizon, we have Idols, Kali Uchis, Mannequin Pussy, and Helado Negro. Idols, the UK post-punk band, announced this week that their new album, and I have no idea how to say it, Tang K. I have my suspicions about what this title means, but I'm like 75% sure that they're wrong, so I'm not even going to say it. They are once again collaborating with Kenny Beats on this project, as they did with 2021's Crawler, as well as some other pretty significant and exciting collaborators showing up on this album. We have a single already titled Dancer, music video out now, linked in the description and below. Idols Tang K is dropping in February 2024. Then we have Kali Uchis' 4th studio album slated for a late January 2024 release. This will see her return to a predominantly Latin music style and Spanish lyrics. Guests include Peso Pluma, Karol G, and many others. So yeah, we're starting to get to that point where 2024 releases are getting announced, and we're starting to see what the landscape is going to shape up to look like early on in the year. Mannequin Pussy also announced their album, I Got Heaven, along with a new single today. Their project is coming in March. As for the less sticky album release news, Jpegmafia has been tweeting lately, and when he's not threatening teens from Iowa, he's been teasing multiple new albums on the way. Now, if you're a JPEG casual like I am, then you probably haven't heard his pretty sizable body of work outside of what's on streaming currently under the Jpegmafia moniker. Some of that stuff was originally released under his real name, namely the Ghost Pop tape, which has a pretty cult following. So when he says one of the albums that he's working on is an old one, maybe that means a remaster or at least a streaming update is coming of one of those kinds of tapes. Also throwing some teasers out there was Ameer Vann, formerly a prominent member of Brockhampton in their blow up era. He seems to be working on something with Merlin Wood, maybe releasing a single. He did post to Instagram that he is no longer signed to RCA Records. He says he owns his masters. So I would keep an eye out for whatever the hell that is. But honestly, in the last 5 years, it's been rather quiet since he dropped his first comeback, the EP Emmanuel, in 2018. That was a little over a year after his split with Brockhampton, after he had been on an extended hiatus, and generally since then, like I said, it's been pretty quiet. We also have a couple pretty popular artists to talk about in Megan Thee Stallion now being a free agent. Her former record label announced this week that they are splitting, that after years of public feuding and litigation, they've actually reached a settlement. So for her, I think there was a lot of money left on the table that she now gets to attempt to recoup since she's doing everything in-house. And the one thing I'm really genuinely excited about in this is that whatever she comes with next, whatever the new projects are that she does herself, we know that it was her artistic vision from beginning to end. And then we got some legitimate Kanye news, someone I kind of reluctant to talk about on this weekly segment. But it seems the news about him has been lately that he has this album with Ty Dolla $ign that is being shopped around to different distributors, and they're trying to find a partner to release this album with. A Billboard even sourced out an October 13th release date, which obviously didn't happen. But the reports are still that this album is set to come out soon. All right, y'all. It is time to talk about what the fuck is going on with fans at concerts, and specifically you Death Grip fans. I am disappointed in y'all, okay? Now, it's been news. Y'all have probably seen on the internet MC Ride getting pelted with fucking glow sticks and shit on stage. But this is far from the only incident on this current Death Grips tour. At the Atlanta show, someone pissed on the floor in the crowd. A crew member from the venue had to come out and clean the floor during the concert because someone just decided to do that. There's been other situations happening at these concerts that I think are not necessarily exclusive to Death Grips concerts. So we'll kind of leave it at that. But, obviously that's bullshit. And I think a lot of people don't behave like that. But people that do, I mean, it really ruins it for everybody in this instance. They literally just cut the show short. Jordy Greep of the band Black Midi came out to kind of share a similar sentiment based on this clip going viral. I am someone of the mindset, as long as people are safe, people are respectful, enjoy the show however the fuck you want. If you want to show up to the concert dressed like this goofy goober shit, then that's not inherently that terrible. But from the artist standpoint, I gotta understand and empathize with the fact that, people are acting like they are showing up to your concert less to hear you or watch you and more to be like the center of attention, or more for the concert experience itself. Like you and your art are kind of secondary to that experience. Again, I have two rules: safe and respectable. Obviously, throwing shit is not cool. It's not safe. It's not respectful. Obviously, pissing on the floor is not fucking safe. It's gross. Imagine yourself as the artist. I think this is a pretty demoralizing thing to have continually happening at your concert, because not only is shit like this happening, but it's your fans. Like, it's your fans that act way out of control and do shit like this. And obviously, you don't have control over them, but that's fucking embarrassing to have fans that do shit like that. So yeah, I feel for Death Grips. I feel for a lot of bands that are hurting in this independent touring market. It's already shitty enough as it is, and then your fans come out and act like this. It's just like we can't have nice shit. That's basically what this is. We cannot have nice shit. So then not only are people wilding out of your concerts, but people are leaking shit like crazy. FKA Twigs came to Instagram to share some unfortunate news that over 85 songs of hers had been leaked to the internet, as like a hard drive had been compromised in some way. It was starting to get to that point where, FKA hasn't dropped in a while, and maybe she could be working on something or dropping something soon. Well, we can dispel that whole notion entirely. She basically said that she's going back to the drawing board. It's going to be a while before she releases any new music, because some of the music she was planning on releasing or continuing to work on was in this set of unfinished music. Again, leaks, they really happen all the time. From a fan perspective, like, we've seen that a lot. But from an artist perspective, again, empathize with the fact that a lot of this shit is unfinished. A lot of these people are very particular, very sacred with their process of making music. We'll see if she actually does this thing from the ground up again. But, very potentially we could be waiting a whole nother album cycle for her to then put out a new actual project. Keeping along with unfortunate news here, if you've been watching our show for a little bit, then you're probably aware that Bandcamp was sold to Epic Games about 18 or so months ago. Now, a lot of us looked at that like, what the hell is Epic Games, developer of Fortnite, going to do with Bandcamp, the independent music streaming and marketplace platform? Well, it turns out they weren't going to do pretty much jack shit with it after they have been themselves struggling financially and doing some layoffs. They then announced that they're selling it again to another company called Songtradr, which does music licensing. Now the layoffs are coming prior to this transaction actually taking place. About half of Bandcamp's entire staff has been laid off. Now, half of that group has been offered positions at Songtradr, but the other half, nah, goodbye. Reportedly, the heaviest cuts took place in the editorial and customer service departments. Again, they are saying, Songtradr are saying that, business as usual for Bandcamp. They're going to go along like they were. The editorial section still going to be there. Bandcamp Fridays, all the vibes, we're good. But their actions already say something, just very, very different. I don't know how they're going to go along as usual with half the staff. If you want to read more about this, because there is more minutia to really read through, then Pitchfork does a pretty good article summarizing the sequence of events as well as what this all means and what the fallout potentially could be moving forward from this deal and all of these layoffs. We also have a couple pretty legendary rest in pieces to throw out there for DJ Mark the 45 King, as well as Rudolph Isley, one of the Isley brothers. DJ Mark the 45 King is actually someone that honestly I haven't known a lot about in my time covering music or being a music fan, but he's certainly touched a lot of music that I love and appreciate. He's done a lot of different things, a lot of different productions, a lot of different projects, but the resume speaks for itself. Most notably, he produced Eminem's Stan. He also produced Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life. Now, these two tracks stand out to me because they're so crucial to either the identity or the career or both of both of these artists. And so there's a lot of hip hop history and significant culture tied up in what his contributions are to the genre and the space. DJ Premier shared a pretty touching tribute to him on his Instagram. It's a lengthy post, so I would read that if you want to get a good sense of what someone close to him would, be eulogizing him for. And then Rudolph Isley, the Isley brothers, we kind of already know what their contributions to music have been. They are amazing, and of course, rest in peace to him, passing away at 84. All right, so we're hitting the point in the year where album releases are starting to slow down a little bit because these last 3 weeks, I would say, from September to October, have been unreal. I mean, just absolutely stacked with a lot of really great music. We still have some pretty good shit coming out even just next week. Most notably, we got King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard dropping The Silver Cord, their 25th album next week. For the rest of the month, we have, a good handful of things to look forward to, as well with the rest of the year. There still are some very prominent drops, namely like this Danny Brown album set to come out. But like I said, we are starting to finally get a lot of those 2024 releases announced as people kind of skip over the holiday season. If you're wondering what new music came out this week, albums and singles, and we do a weekly new releases segment on this channel as well, so be on the lookout for that. If you like these stories, if you enjoyed listening to me, or I put you up on something you didn't already know, hitting the like button is all you got to do to help us. And we do drop videos weekly, so if you want to keep tabs on what we're putting out, then a subscription is definitely the best way to do that. I really appreciate you watching to the end of this video, and I will of course be back next week with more news, more album announcements, etc. So we'll talk to you then. Shout out to y'all. Peace. See you later.